Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Pour. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Brian. And in this video, we got a special guest with us here today. So we have Bri Roll. She's the executive director of Seymour Main Street. How you doing today, Bri?
Fantastic. We're about to drink bourbon.
Yeah,
That's right. Can't get any better than that.
It is the Bourbon Pour, but real quickly, because Bri is our first special guest, we're introducing a new series called Community Spirit, where we will have a special guest from the community every now and then to talk about what's going on in Seymour and Jackson County, maybe some work and some initiatives. And so we're really excited to introduce this and excited to have you as our first guest.
Thank you.
And our idea basically was to raise awareness about what's happening in the community while tasting some spirits. And today we have lined up Weller Special Reserve. So.
As picked by Bri, we have Weller Special Reserve. We got a little beetle around here, but anyway, Bri, is there any reason in particular that you picked Weller Special Reserve?
Yes, this is my father-in-law's favorite bourbon, and it has been a bourbon that I've drank for a couple years, primarily with him, so I'm a little newer to the bourbon scene, but I like the profile. I think it drinks really smooth. It's not too hot for me,
right.
So I can sit back and enjoy it with him, and it just makes me think of him, so that's why it's so special.
Oh, cool.
Sweet.
So you mentioned that you're kind of new to the bourbon scene, so Brian and I kind of are. What has your experience with bourbon been so far? I know you're more of a wine person, but what's your experience with bourbon been so far?
Yeah, for the most part, mixed drinks, cocktails. I haven't really had just neat bourbon until just, I don't know, the past few years maybe.
Okay.
But really, truly, what made me realize that bourbon had a lot of potential was our bourbon event last year, the Bourbon Pour in 2023. And I sampled how many did we try? 5, 6?
4, and then we do an allocated pour.
Okay.
And then, and then funny story about that, Bri, I've never had any B-Tac stuff, and Bri, the first night of drinking bourbon gets Tom's Handy, so.
It was quite the
night. I didn't. So let's go ahead and take a little nose, see what you smell here. And I always really like Weller. I don't know if you know that Weller is a wheated bourbon. So usually bourbon's made with corn, rye, and malted barley. Instead of rye, they use wheat. So I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, you
so
definitely get the wheat on it.
Yeah. A little bit of honey.
Something sweet.
Yeah, like a light sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely on the sweet
maybe even a little
side,
vanilla.
Yeah. And not a whole lot of oak or woody notes either for me.
No.
I don't smell any of that. So. Let's go in for a sip, shall we? Cheers.
Cheers.
Kind of a classic taste, right? So,
sure.
Yeah, a lot of kind of caramel flavor to me.
Yeah, I definitely get a lot of vanilla on the palate. It's a good bourbon. If you can get it for retail, it's an amazing bourbon. If secondary market, it gets a little bit more suspect, but at $24-$25, it's a killer. So.
Right. So what do you taste, Bri, whenever you taste a beer?
I agree with the vanilla. I don't know if it is a, what did you say a second ago? No, the typical or
classic bourbon.
Classic. I don't know if it's classic or not, but
it's pretty hard to beat.
Like I said before, it doesn't drink hot, it doesn't burn, but what I like is I think that when we met the bourbon YouTubers last year.
Yeah, SLB drinks.
SLB.
Kurt and Kent. Kurt and his brother Kent. Yeah.
They said that the warmth in your chest is
Kentucky hug.
A Kentucky hug.
Kentucky hug.
So I get a little bit of a hug, but it's not
more like a side hug.
Yeah, it's not a bear hug.
Right.
So
90 proof, right?
I get a little bit of that hug in my chest, which I like. So like you said, I'm primarily wine. So red wine, I like that dryness. I like the flavor profile. So I appreciate that bourbon has a lot of complexity.
Gotcha. All right. Definitely. I like that. Perfect answer.
Well, we are also here to talk about what you do in the community. So we would like to talk a little bit about Main Street. So if you can kind of tell us about the organization and what it does for the community.
Yes. So Main Street is a national organization. It is a nonprofit. And then locally, every participating community, you can participate at various levels. And it really meets you where you're at, which I really enjoy. So Seymour Main Street is a national level Main Street. And our mission is to plan, promote, and preserve historic downtown Seymour. So Main Street as a whole is committed to downtown preservation and revitalization. So that covers streetscape enhancements, economic development in the downtown, promoting your downtown through events like Bourbon Pour. So it's a very multifaceted approach to downtown restoration, since we saw a lot of downtowns really, hit rock bottom during the strip mall movement of the 80s and 90s. So we're coming back,
right,
and we're trying to support the businesses that are opening in the downtown. We're trying to promote structural improvement and restoration and preservation primarily. And it is just, it's a great community organization. And again, it is 100% a nonprofit. So if you're watching...
Can always be a contributor.
That's right. SeymourMainStreet.org/give.
Yeah. Right, there we go. So, and you mentioned like a lot of the businesses that are opening downtown. Side note, Main Street is governed by a board, right? Mm-hmm. And Brian and I are both board members for Main Street, and we both sit on the promotions committee. But off the top of your head, I know a lot of people sometimes will say like, the downtown doesn't have much order, but I'm always impressed whenever you actually share the figures of the downtown district and how many businesses are actually downtown. Do you know that off the top of your head? And I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, not to the exact number, but we are around 210 businesses operating in the Main Street boundaries. Okay. And for our community, I like to specify which boundary, because we have a historic commercial district that's a little bit smaller than what Main Street services. And the reason that we chose to expand our service area is because we realized really quickly that a lot of businesses operating downtown adjacent really complement what we have going on. So it is a entire ecosystem. So we wanted to include some of the areas that may not be a historic building from, the early 1900s, but that business is operating right next door and very much impacts what happens in our downtown.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. So like you mentioned before too, the Bourbon Pour is coming up. Yes. Brian and I are involved with that. I mean,
you don't know anything about that.
Name of the show, right? I did forget to mention, this is the first episode where we're wearing our little branded t-shirts, but maybe we'll have more of those later. But anyway, so what other events is Seymour Main Street known for? Yeah,
so I would say one of our most popular events is our summer series, or City Jam concert series, and that runs the third Thursday, May through September. It's completely free to the community. It's a 90-minute show on a Thursday night out in the grassy area at our local park. We try to mix up the different entertainment, so whether it's country or I can't even think right now.
We even did a little Americana.
We've had Americana.
Cover band.
Cover bands.
Stuff like that.
So we try to be a little different each time to provide some variety. But that is coming up very quickly. Other than that, we do put on downtown shop-arounds. So that's where we encourage you to go downtown, support local, support small business, and then enter to win gift cards. So win-win all the way around. We also put on the Ghouls and Goblets Sip and Stroll, which Jordan doesn't know anything about that either. He's my my event chair for that.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's a fantastic event. It is 21 and up, and what we do is we bring Indiana wine, beer, and liquor.
Breweries, wineries, distilleries come in.
Yeah.
And then you can go to each location.
Get a little sample, and again, visit some of our local retailers. We have Jingle All the 5K, which is a Christmas themed run that Brian chairs. So you definitely want to check that out. We put jingle bells on the shoes and run around downtown, and it's really fun. Let me think. I know I'm missing several things here on the spot.
The kids event we did for Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas on Chestnut.
Christmas on Chestnut.
One of them. Tea for Two. We're involved with that.
Yeah,
that's not our event, right?
We really sponsor that one with the City of Seymour Parks and Recs department, but it's a little tea party, a princess party that's coming up actually the weekend after Bourbon Pour, so April 13th.
Right.
And then we do a scarecrow stroll, which is a downtown scarecrow display competition, free to participate in. And we also have downtown trick or treat. So we organize that, and there's, I think last year we had about 1,500 kids.
That's so awesome.
It was really great. So we've got a lot going on, and if you're interested in learning more, again, SeymourMainStreet.org, and we have our full calendar posted for the year. It also includes events that we don't host, but are happening in the downtown. So if you kind of want a well-rounded picture of what's going on, definitely check that out.
So obviously our organization runs off of, we're nonprofit, so it runs off of donations. So if you receive a donation, what does that money go to?
Yes, so we are a nonprofit, and every dollar goes towards the mission. So that is primarily distributed across our 4 committees. So again, promotions. So some of your donations could be put towards events that we put on. Some of it is through design. So if we're trying to enhance the streetscape, so we've done murals in the past, we've replaced downtown benches and amenities. Economic vitality is all about finding ways to support the entrepreneur or the small business. So we primarily do that through our internal grant program, which can help with building restoration and renovation. It can help with a couple business costs that are associated with starting a business. And then organization is really where everything administrative falls in. So salaries, to office supplies, the things that you just can't get away from. We got to keep the lights on, that kind of thing. So if you are interested, we do have more information on, especially like our 990s, which any nonprofit familiar peeps out there, you can get a copy of that on our website too.
And Main Street also is a membership organization. It's something that you've focused on. What does becoming a member of Main Street mean, and what are some of the benefits of that?
So yes and no. So we aren't member-based like a local chamber would be.
Right.
So we primarily use the term supporter and donor. What we like to do to show our appreciation is at certain levels of your donation, we have swag. So certain levels you will get, I think last year we had coffee mug and pens, we had umbrellas. Our top level, we did a really nice thank you plaque to show appreciation. And we also have tickets to events as part of that package too, just depending on the level. And all that information can be found on the website. You'll want to click on become a donor, I think is the phrase, and it will detail out the levels and what we're giving away.
So what if you were you're kind of passionate about the mission that you like what Main Street's doing, but maybe you don't have a lot of money to donate. How would that person get involved?
Absolutely. We are always looking for volunteers. And as I mentioned before, we have 4 primary areas that we plug people in. So if you are someone that likes to get involved with events, then promotions would be where you want to align. We can have those conversations if you do want to volunteer, and we do have a link to that. I keep plugging our website, but it is the best place to get the information.
It's a good resource.
So you can also click on Become a Volunteer, and it will ask you what are your interests and hobbies, and then you and I will meet, and we will see what makes sense for you to get involved in, and we would love to have you.
And then we'll kind of wrap up this part. Obviously, Brian and I, we think it's super important to support Seymour Main Street, but kind of what's your answer when people ask why is it such important work that Main Street does?
Well, downtowns are the heart of the community. So if you go into a downtown and the heart of the community is crumbling, it's a pretty indicative sign to the state of the entire community. So if you want your community to thrive, you really want to start from that epicenter out. So it's super important for us to keep Seymour, going in that way. But also, when you look at downtowns, there are a lot of small businesses. There are a lot of entrepreneurs, and those people are your neighbors. Those are the ones, this isn't a big box store right next door. This is your friend that you run into at the local JC. So we're also supporting our local residents when you do shop local. And we really want to also make downtown a meeting space. We want it to have life. We want it to be vibrant. We want people to feel home when they're in the downtown.
Couldn't have said it better. And you know, like I said, or what I always kind of think of it too is that not just downtowns, but even our small businesses always give a community a sense of identity. And so I think that our downtown in Seymour really contributes to that. And I think Main Street's kind of the engine behind that. So with that though, we really appreciate you stopping by, Bri, and appreciate you sharing information with the community. Like we always say too, when you're with your family and friends, always share your whiskey.